Thank you. Welcome. Good morning to all of you. I am Sylvia Pedraza, professor of sociology and American culture in the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts. Since I first arrived in Ann Arbor as a freshman, I have been a Wolverine for a very long time. I also currently serve as the chair of the Senate Advisory Committee on University Affairs, better known as SACWA. So welcome to this year's Regent Candidate Forum. As you know, the University of Michigan is governed by the Board of Regents, which consists of 8 members elected in statewide elections every 2 years. The University Senate has the privilege of hosting Regent Candidate Forums as voters in the state of Michigan to choose 2 individuals to serve on the Board of Regents. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all of you to vote. For students in Ann Arbor and Ann Arbor residents, the Ann Arbor City Clerk will have 2 satellite offices on campus at the University of Michigan Museum of Art and at the Duderstadt Center in North Campus. At these satellite offices, you can register or re-register with your updated address, request an absentee ballot, vote the ballot early on site or bring it home to vote, and drop off your absentee ballot at an official drop box. The regents serve without compensation. I want to underline without compensation for overlapping terms of 8 years. The Michigan Constitution provides that the regents have general supervision of the institution and the control and direction of all expenditures from the institution's funds. Thus, the regents serve a very important function for the university. I would like to extend my thanks to the regent candidates who are with us today and who were able to take time out from their very busy schedules to join us. Today, we're joined by incumbent Michael Behm, Democrat, incumbent Kathy White, Democrat, Sherry Wells for the Green Party, and Sevag Vartanian, Republican. Let's please take a moment to welcome them to this event. After I introduce you, each candidate will have up to 5 minutes to make a statement regarding their candidacy. That is, why we should choose him or her. After the introductions and the candidate statements, the candidates will answer questions that were received in advance from members of the faculty. We reviewed the many questions we received and selected today's questions without knowing who submitted them. During this forum, 2 of our faculty incumbents will ask their questions themselves. Faculty members, I'm sorry, not faculty incumbents. Another faculty member will ask a question through a pre-recorded video, and I will post the rest of the questions. So let me begin by introducing incumbent Michael Behm, Democrat. Regent Behm is a Democrat from Grand Blanc. He received his BA degree from the University of Michigan and his JD degree from Wayne State University. Regent Behm is president and owner of the law firm Behm and Behm. He is the chair of Business Forward Michigan. He was also a co-founder and former president of Level Field Institute. Regent Behm is an AV-rated attorney by Martindale-Hubbell. He is listed as a Michigan super lawyer and is recognized by the American Trial Lawyers Association as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in Michigan. In addition, Regent Behm is a member of the American Board of Trial Advocates and is one of 15 attorneys in the state of Michigan to be named a fellow in the Melvin M. Belly Society. Regent Behm was an officer of the Michigan Association for Justice, serving as its president. He also devotes his time to his local community, where he has served on the Board of Trustees of the Flint Institute of Arts. He has also been a Big Brother through Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and is a founding member of the Flint Youth Initiative. Regent Behm and his wife Kay are the proud parents of 3 Wolverines. We will now hear from Regent Behm.
JD will.
Oh, yes, you do.
Thank you, Sylvia. And I also like to thank the Senate and thank Luke McCarthy for bringing us here together today. It's always tough or a difficult decision to give a trial lawyer a microphone, but I will try and stay shorter than 5 minutes. My wife has been nominated to become a federal judge, and during her Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearing, each senator had 5 minutes to speak. And so it was very interesting to want that 5 minutes to go away as fast as possible when you're being asked questions by some of the senators on the Senate Judiciary Committee. But I was elected in 2014 to an 8-year term, like Sylvia just mentioned. I graduated from undergrad in '89. My wife graduated from the law school here in 1994. In the last 8 years, the university, we've had a combination of challenges and advancements. And while some people would just want to talk about the advancements, I think we need to address the challenges. We've answered a lot of challenges. I remember when a few people were talking to me about running for election, the common question would be, how many times do you meet? 11 times a year. Okay, sounds doable. I work for myself, so I figured I could do that. The last 30 months, by my count, we've had 142 meetings. So a few more than 11 meetings a year. But you say, well, why? Challenges that we've come up with, that we've been faced with. First, in the last 2.5 years was the provost issue, then followed very quickly by the Anderson issue. Then, not a month later, COVID. Then President Schlissel's issues with having him as the person who's supposed to lead us forward, violating a lot of these issues that we've worked so hard on. So those issues, in many ways, they have a lot of the same issues involved with them. One of the prime problems that I found out in that the issue of communication was related in all of these with how you address it. And so that's something that we really worked on and that we continue to work on. Also interrelated was the trust issue. We have the campus and the administration, due to what occurred, there was a huge trust deficit. They were issues where you would go forward and address the issue, and instead that did not occur with the administration, as evidenced by the no confidence vote, as you all know about. So those are some issues that then interrelated with that were labor issues, and then also safety and the environment of safety and assault on campus. So you might say those 4 things aren't interrelated. They are. In many ways, they're interrelated. And so they're huge issues, and I feel as though the board has tackled them well, and there's a lot more to deal with. And we then have been presented with hiring a new president. I think we have the right person for the job. I wish he could have been here 3 months ago, but the University of British Columbia had a 90-day they got to keep him for 90 days after he announced. And so with that term, there wasn't anything we could say. So October 14th is when President-elect Ono will be on campus, and he is a communicator, he is a trust builder. And so I think some of those answers or some of those questions will start to be answered. With regard to, we just had to answer those head on. Some people thought that we were heavy-handed in releasing President Schlissel. I don't think we were. I think it was evident as to what occurred with what we were trying to do. He violated not only the rules, but the trust that's been trying to have been built on campus. With regard to things that have been accomplished, a lot has been accomplished. And along those lines, some of the things I would talk about would be value, accountability, which is what I've just mentioned, and then the state of Michigan's future. With regard to value, the value of a Michigan education right now is incredibly high. Money Magazine has just this year, I think in May, ranked the university #1 in the country and declared it to be the best value in the country. I think we do, if you wanted to call your college education an investment, I think we provide a remarkable return on that investment. With regard to that, in 4.5 years ago, we implemented the Go Blue Guarantee, and that's for in-state students whose family's income are median or less, $65,000 or less. They attend tuition free. If you look at the undergraduate population right now on the Ann Arbor campus, 1 in 5 students is a recipient of the Go Blue Guarantee. It's 19%, but I think that's something we should be very proud of. And the great aspect of that is those students actually have a higher average GPA than the students who don't receive the Go Blue Guarantee. So these are high achieving, well-deserving students to be here on campus. And it looks like I'm coming up on the 5 minutes here. I didn't think I would. And just with regard to value, and then also a couple other issues, I feel we've done some great things with regard to labor, the right to organize on campus. I'll touch on that with some of the questions. And then also the healthcare system, done some great things there that I'll also touch on. And then carbon neutrality, it's a huge issue. I'll also want to touch on that where we've made a lot of strides. And then also investment in our Flint and Dearborn campuses. And I hope to have the chance to explain that to you also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for an honest 5 minutes. Okay, I will now introduce our incumbent, Kathy White, Democrat. Kathy White received a BSE degree in electrical engineering and computer science from Princeton University, a JD degree from the University of Washington, an LLM degree in patent and intellectual property law from the George Washington University Law School, and a master's degree in strategic studies from the U.S. Army War College. She was a judicial law clerk to the Honorable Randall R. Rader, Circuit Judge, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. She was also appointed by the Secretary of Commerce to serve on the United States Patent and Trademark Office Patent Public Advisory Committee. She was elected to the University of Michigan Board of Regents in 1998 and re-elected in both 2006 and 2014. She is currently a professor of law at Wayne State University Law School in Detroit. In addition, she is a brigadier general in the Army National Guard, currently serving as the deputy commander of the 46th Military Police Command in Lansing. She was inducted into the Michigan Military and Veterans Hall of Honor, and she was a White House Fellow. We will next hear from Regent White.
Well, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and to the Faculty Senate for inviting us here. It's always a really important thing that all the stakeholders get a chance to see the candidates for Regent. So as you heard, I was elected first in 1999, so that's quite a while ago. I've been on the board. At the end of this year, it'll be 24 years. And what I guess I want to talk about, I want to first associate myself with the comments that Regent Behm made, because we have served during that time period, and you articulated very well some of the challenges we've had, and there's no need for me to repeat those. So I want to associate myself with those comments. And I want to give you a perspective of what I think I bring to the table to represent you as the Faculty Senate. So I'm the only academic on the Board of Regents. So I'm a tenured professor of law at Wayne State University, began teaching there in 1996 and continue to. And that is who I am. I believe that like everyone who teaches, there's something about that profession that really opens your heart and gives me great passion to go to work every day. Also, I think it's really important that people on the board understand the very difficult job that we have as academics and a lot of the trust that the nation puts in for us to really bring our young people and forward, as well as the incredible research that this institution does with our $1.7 billion of research funds, which is the #1 amount that's being given out by the federal government. Also, I have an electrical engineering and computer science degree, and I'm actually the only one on the board that has a science background, an engineering background. So it comes into issue many times when issues come up with respect to the funding issues, also a lot of the national security issues that can come up. I'm able to be on some of these committees because of that. I'm also the only person on the board that's a military officer, and we have many veterans that are at this institution. And unfortunately, in our society, fewer and fewer people are serving in the military. So it's really important for those who do to have a seat at the table when a lot of the decisions are being made at the highest levels. I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to serve during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. My unit was activated for almost 18 months around the country. We were called Task Force 46. We were at intermediate headquarters for our Joint Force Land Component Commander, General Richardson, who was the commander for the homeland on the land forces, to put DoD medical personnel into civilian hospitals to serve, to help with the staffing crisis that was going around the nation. And as we well know with our health system, how much difficulty it was to staff during that crisis. We also built an alternative care facility at the TCF, that then called TCF Center. And that was all of 2022. And then in 2021, we transitioned to do community vaccine centers around the country. We're in 15 states over the course of about a year. And when we did that, there were a lot of challenges with refrigeration of the Pfizer vaccine and all the logistics that had to go along with that, getting personnel in the protective equipment that you have to get to everyone so we don't spread COVID to each other. And going through that crisis, it was really wonderful for me to have that perspective of what our healthcare providers were going through here at the university and are still going through, because, you know, our health system, all of the folks, they were what I would call at war for 2 years trying to fight this pandemic. And then when the pandemic slowed down, a lot of people had not seen doctors. They'd put off their care, and they're more sick now than they would have otherwise been. And so our healthcare workers are still working quite hard. I'm also the only member that's a union member. I am on the American Federations of Teachers Union out of Wayne State University, local 6075, so AAUP AFT. Also was a White House Fellow and a Fulbright Senior Scholar in Germany, so any of you who have done international academia and working with foreign universities, and I've done that as well, and have that perspective and understand the importance of working internationally in academia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cassie. I now will introduce Sherry Wells from the Green Party. Sherry Wells is a lifelong Michigander. She was the first in her family to attend college, and she was a single parent for her last 4 years at the university. She earned her BA in education at Michigan State University and her law degree from Wayne State University. She worked for Maycomb Legal Aid before opening a private practice. Attorney Wells wrote and published 5 editions of Michigan Law for Everyone. After a local business owner in Ferndale introduced her to his wife as a community activist, she proudly put that label on a name tag. When she ran for the State Board of Education for the Green Party, she did her homework. By running for our U of M Board of Regents, she states that she is rounding out her university education. She underscores that listening is important for public servants and that she looks forward to what she can learn from the faculty. So let us hear from Regent candidate Wells.
Thank you, Professor Sevag Vartanian. What I knew about U of M before accepting the nomination from the Green Party was that my brother had a heart transplant here in the 1990s, and that heart is still beating. Thank you very much. My pitch is that, as she said, I graduated from Michigan State University with a BA in education and a minor in political science. I went to Wayne State University and got my law degree, and now I want to go to U of M without paying tuition, so I'm running for the Board of Regents. The advantage of being new to the University of Michigan in so many ways is that I use my attorney skills, listening, learning, researching, and legislating and administering, which is what the board does. For the last few months, anyone wearing a U of M shirt was fair game for me to ask, what did you like about it? How could it be better? And I heard lots of things on both sides of that question. I read the Board of Regents bylaws, only 73 pages. And it has mentions term limits all over. As you heard, these terms are 8 years. After 8 years, I believe you need new eyes and new voices, even though I'm greatly in awe of the curriculum vitae of General White. So this is one of the things that I think is important. I certainly bring different things to the table. Everyone who would be elected on that board does. You've heard some very different things already. Now, I'm obviously melanin challenged, although our 2018 Green Party candidate for this office was of indigenous ancestry. He's now our governor candidate. But I have many melanin-blessed activist friends that I've been learning from. I have a debt to repay. The Tuskegee Airmen in World War II escorted my dad's bomber back to base, or I would not be here. Starting in 2015, I organized a chapter of Women in Aviation at Detroit City Airport, and this year was the 8th year we've had Girls in Aviation Day to try to raise up how many young women go into aviation in some form or another. And this will get more of them into science too, I'm sure. If we don't get to the union question, in law school, we were told that a valid contract requires equal bargaining parties. And you don't get that with a big corporation and a little employee. You get that, as I saw on Facebook, you get the teeter-totter balances when you have the corporation here and the union here. I treated my staff by union standards, including tuition, and I attended the nurses union rally in July. We Green Party people do not take corporate donations or PAC donations from unions either, only from real people, of the people, by the people, for the people. I read that somewhere. And Green Partiers insist on union printers for our materials. I definitely would be bringing, I think, more of a common person to the table, and I invite you to give me that opportunity.
Thank you, Sherry. And finally, I will introduce Sevag Vartanian. Sevag Vartanian was born and raised in Dearborn. He graduated from the University of Michigan with a BS in actuarial mathematics. Vartanian continued his education at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business, where he earned his MBA in finance and statistics. Vartanian has had a successful career in the finance sector. From his experience working in credit and bond trading to asset management, he has earned a reputation for his strong work ethic, integrity, and vision, working with clients all over the world. Vartanian has sported the maize and blue as long as he can remember. While hoping to play football for Michigan, an injury cut short his football playing days. But rather than not participate at all, Vartanian applied his athletic skills to become one of the male cheerleaders at the Big House. After college, Vartanian began working at Ford Credit and quickly rose up the ranks. When he completed his MBA at the University of Chicago, he took his skills to New York City and working for firms such as Citibank and Bank of America. There, he experienced firsthand the devastating effects of 9/11 and the great financial crisis. When he realized that New York was not the best environment in which to raise his 3 young boys, he decided to move back to his roots in Michigan to raise his family with solid Midwestern values. He hoped his sons would follow in his footsteps to the University of Michigan. Sevag Vartanian now runs a boutique asset management firm, Vartanian Capital Management. He and his wife Nar, live in Novi. They're both very active in their church and their community, except on a few select Saturdays in the fall, where you will find them in Ann Arbor with 110,000 faithful fans singing Hail to the Victors. We will now hear from Regent candidate Vartanian.
Good morning. Thank you, Sylvia. It's funny, this when we appear on the ballot on November 8th, it's a partisan race, but I don't view this as a partisan position. I view this as, let's do what's best for the school and for the children, for our kids. I call them kids, but they're adults by the time they get here. But if I'm still paying the cell phone bill, he's my kid. And as a regent, I will look through, every question that gets raised, I will look through the lens of, is this good for the students? Is it good for the faculty and the staff? And is it good for the reputation of the University of Michigan? My days in Ann Arbor as an undergrad were some of the best days of my life. It's funny, I was on the cheerleading squad. I was able to run out of that tunnel and grab that banner, and it was some of the best memories of my life, walking on my hands across the field. But it was more than that. It's the people that you went to school with, the relationships that you made, the discussions that you had, the arguments, the debates, everything else. And what's great about our school is that the Alumni Association is the largest in the world, and you could be traveling through Bangkok and you see someone wearing the Block M on their hat, and go blue. It's understood. So when I look at what's going on at the school, I don't look at it through a political lens. I'm not here to impose any of my ideologies on you. I just want to do what is best for the students. How are we going to help them succeed and continue the tradition? I commend Mike and Kathy on their service through the last, last 30 months. It's, I've heard the stories, and I'm willing to give them a break. They've earned a well-deserved sabbatical, so I'm happy to do that. One thing that does make me unique is that my background in the finance industry is very strong. Actuarial math at this school, prepared me how to solve problems, how to think intelligently and tactfully about how do you get to the right solution. The MBA at Chicago, that just honed those skills, and it took me to Wall Street, where I worked at some of the largest banks in the world, and I understand how to read an income statement and a balance sheet and find out, I know how to ask the right questions. and asset management. We've got a very large endowment fund, which is nice. I think the public perception of how that fund should be used is they don't really understand how the endowment really works. It's not like just a slush fund that we could use for whatever we want to do. There are purposes set aside, so that needs to be clarified. But I do have some ideas about investment management style and better ways to put that money to work for the long-term future of the university. But at the end of the day, I bring a very different perspective, I think, because I will be the only regent that has a child at the university. Knowing him, he's going to want to go to grad school as well. So I could be here through his whole term. But it's a little bit different, I think, when you hear about things at the kitchen table, at the dinner table, as opposed to in the boardroom. I love the fact, from what I've heard, our new president is likes to engage with the students. I think that's important, and I do that as well. With my son and his friends, and it's wonderful getting back here because our children are our future. Now, some of the things that really bother me and motivated me to get into this race is that less than half the students in Ann Arbor are residents of the state of Michigan. As a taxpayer, I have a problem with that because we need to get a return on our investment. Most of those kids that aren't from here, they don't stay in Michigan. We need them to build jobs in the future and be the inventors and job creators going forward. So that's just one of the issues that's on my mind. But like I said, every decision I make will be based on, is this good for our students? That's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For the next hour, then, we will hear questions received in advance from U of M faculty members. Each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to each question. And for every question, we will rotate the order in which the candidates answer. Candidates have up to 2 minutes to respond to each question. In the first question, we will follow the order of first Michael Behm, then Cassie White, then Sherry Wells, then Sevag Vartanian. And the first question will be asked by Gary Hammer, MD, PhD, who is also Millie Schemblecker Professor of Adrenal Cancer.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, a warm welcome to you all from the medical school. I get to lead us off here, and my question for you is this. We assume that you all will vigorously support academic freedom at the university. As regent, will you also support freedom of reproductive choice for women on campus? Students, faculty, clinicians, and patients, particularly as it pertains to Michigan medicine healthcare clinicians providing essential reproductive care to women. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. The short answer is yes. Actually, they'll be upset that I've said this. I just want to clarify one comment. I have a sophomore here on campus, a senior here on campus, and a son who graduated 2 years ago. So I get a lot of reports from the front line, so to speak. Dad, you don't understand, So we as parents all are used to hearing that. But with regard to this issue, this is an incredibly serious issue because it's not a theoretical issue. A lot of politicians are asked, they give an answer, and they'll never have to make a decision that actually affects reproductive health. So it sounds great in a vacuum. We are dealing with it here on a daily basis. And so to your point, the university has my steadfast support for the freedom of reproductive choice for women on campus. But not only that, being the son of a nurse who was the head nurse of the OB-GYN floor here in 1960 at Women's Hospital, she still points to the place where the hospital used to be. It's where the tower and the cardiovascular center is right now. That was where Women's Hospital was. But I grew up in a household due to my mom's strong tutelage in this area about this choice. And regarding Michigan medicine, I completely support our training and providing the full spectrum of women's health care, including all reproductive care issues regarding women.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you. So I want to associate myself with Regent Behm's statements. I agree completely with all what you've said. And it's important, not only the broad spectrum of reproductive rights, but also a focus on women's health care. You know, it would be wonderful if the University of Michigan not only continue, but further the study and research of how certain issues affect women in particular, as opposed to sometimes, for example, heart attacks, women have different symptoms and so forth. So broad, I support that, and also for the reproductive rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Sherry?
I was a teen when I first heard my mom quote, "If legislators could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament." I call it the sperm rights protection ruling. It doesn't matter whose or how. I've been a clinic escort. I've used Planned Parenthood for women's health care, and I viewed their brochure, which has every possible option for an unplanned pregnancy that someone could wish for. They push nothing, and that is some misinformation that has been given out for far too long. To me, it is up to the female in consultation with her healthcare provider, period.
Sevag?
My views on reproductive rights are irrelevant. I don't want to get involved in anybody else's healthcare decisions. That's a political thing. And on November 8th, I think we're going to have an opportunity in the state to resolve the issue. As a regent, however, we also have an obligation to follow the law of the state, of the country. Now Roe versus Wade didn't abolish abortion; it just returned it to the states to deal with. And if our fellow Michiganders decide that we do want to have abortion in the state, yes, I will. I will make sure that we do all we can to comply with the law. But I cannot, in good conscience, break the law. Now, one issue I do have with Michigan Medicine, however, is that there's currently a lawsuit against the school because they have removed people from the organ transplant list because they refuse to get a vaccine. As a regent, I find, or as a citizen, I find that reprehensible, and that is one thing I would look at changing in the health system. But my political views, are irrelevant. I mean, my father was an OB-GYN. I understand all the issues. I understand definitely the need for exceptions, especially for the health of the mother. That's all I'm going to say on the topic.
Thank you. The next question, we're shifting the order of the replies a bit, and it will be first Kathy White, then Sherry Wells, then Sevag Vartanian, and then Michael Behm. The next question will be asked by video by Eileen Das, who is Associate Professor of Classical Studies, Middle East Studies, and Judaic Studies.
Hello, Regent candidates. This is Eileen Doss, Associate Professor from Classical Studies, and my question is as follows. The university has shifted most of its activities in person and made masking optional. How should the university respond to those individuals with disabilities, for example, the immunocompromised and those with young children or family members who cannot be vaccinated? I look forward to receiving your answer. Thank you.
Kathy?
Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. So as you heard from my introduction, I've had a lot of experience working with dealing with a lot of the COVID-19 pandemic issues that really significantly harmed our individuals throughout the last 2 years. So when we started out, as you know, it was very difficult to know the best way to protect oneself, because we didn't know if it was spread in the air or the surfaces. Remember, we were all wiping down surfaces and so forth. And over time, our experience as a unit was the mask wearing especially the N95, KN95 mask, was the best way that we noticed we were being protected. And of course, CDC guidelines and the science followed that later as the data went forward. And so it's very important the university get back to normal and have in-person classes, but also learn about the hybrid, that we could have ways to do things both virtually and in person. And one, I would invite us to look at how to preserve what we learned and further our ability to deliver great education with abilities for people who may be immunocompromised to attend virtually if their doctor recommends that, if the science tells them that they should be doing that. And if people are in person and they are immunocompromised, continue to follow the science about wearing the N95 mask, the KN95 mask, to help protect yourself.
Thank you. Sherry.
I heard from a student and read about a faculty member. Both were displeased with the U of M stance. Last week, I was at a symposium at Wayne State University. Masking is still stated as required in classrooms and halls. It's ironic to me, with the worldwide reputation of U of M Medical Center, it's hard to understand that stance is as loose. And in fact, a close friend who I drive because she's unable to do so has been suspicious of the shots due to the history of medical treatment of Black persons, but she double masks. She says she wears one to protect her and one to protect me. I've made it through following daughter's orders.
Thank you, Sherry. Sevag.
Individuals need to determine for themselves how to best protect themselves. If the environment passes OSHA standards, then it should remain open. If it doesn't, it should be closed. The appropriate experts for these types of decisions are found in the field of industrial hygiene. In September 2020, the American Institute of Industrial Hygienists, I think that's right, AIHA, they put out a report and they talked about engineering controls, increasing the air exchange in the buildings. If you increase the air exchange to 4.5 times an hour, you're getting rid of 90 to 95% of the particulate matter that could cause the disease. And I don't know how much of the federal money that we received went towards these types of engineering solutions. But there are also HEPA filters and filtration things of that sort. But at the end of the day, I think it's up to the individual to do what they feel is best for them. If they want to wear a mask, great. But if you don't want to wear a mask, that's up to you as well. I believe in freedom.
Thank you, Sevag. Michael.
Thank you, Sylvia. I believe, I support anyone who wants to wear a mask. I believe in following the science, and I think that's what we've done over the past 2 years. Sure, mistakes were made, but that was the science at the time. We're a learn in-person university. It's one of our trademarks. So that's something that's extremely important here. There's that old saying, out of crisis comes opportunity. I think we've learned quite a few things through the pandemic about how to deliver teaching, for lack of a better word. Kids, as a trial lawyer, when I talk to a jury, you can see different jurors, how they learn. Some learn visually, some learn auditorily, some are kinesthetic learners. How does it make them feel? We need to address that in the delivery of the education here on campus. And I think one of the things that we found, especially in content-heavy courses, they should be recorded. And students, I've got a daughter who, taking, all the biologies, organic chemistry, another report from the front line. She says how helpful it is she attends every lecture, but then after she watches the lecture again, and she can stop it whenever she wants to stop it, take her notes, make sure she understands the concept. So that's something that we've learned through this. And I think that's something we should continue to explore and expand.
Thank you very much. For the third question, we're shifting the order a little bit. Sherry will be first, Sevag second, then Michael, then Cassie. The third question, I think, to me is a very important one, and that is, what would be your main goals during your term as regent? What do you think is the role of the regents in working with faculty at U of M and engaging with the leadership?
Thank you. Listening, asking, learning from all connected with the university and about its policies and practices and those of other universities, especially with regard to true diversity, equity, and inclusion. The role of the regents in high regards to the faculty, which have helped make and keep the university at least as famous as its football team, is to engage, encourage, and value them as part of its primary mission of education. Similarly with the leadership, and per the bylaws, there's a lot of leadership around this university. My first step after election would be to seek out a mentor or several for this new position.
Thank you. Sevag.
First, I want to say, Michael, I really didn't know you had kids here.
They don't like me telling anyone, so that's why you didn't ask. So I'm going to get in trouble.
But first and foremost, I want to make sure that the university maintains its position as one of the best research universities in the world. That status is a direct reflection on the faculty, and I applaud you for it. Second, I would like to, as I said before, I would like to see more Michigan residents enrolled in school here. When less than half the student body is comprised of residents, I just have a real problem with that. And as a state school that receives state funding, taxpayer funding, we should be demanding more for residents of Michigan. I think, the ballpark, 65–70% of Michigan residents in the undergraduate classes seems like a level that makes sense to me. The school has increased tuition for the last 38 years in a row. And much of that has been at like twice the level of overall inflation. I think that is untenable. What are we going to do now where inflation is at 40-year highs? It's going to, we're going to need some people to make some financial decisions because the tuition spikes can't keep going up. It's going to, if we don't solve the problem ourselves, the free market will solve it for us, and that would bring a lot more pain. So I think my financial background there will be helpful in identifying how best to allocate resources. And a lot of that has to do with working with the faculty as well. I think it's got to be very collaborative. Hopefully you'll do the heavy lifting, and then we can figure it out from there. Like I said, all my decisions are going to be based on what's best for the students. And I think we need to do more as far as getting kids who aren't in the sciences but still in LS&A, getting them access to business opportunities. Just because you're studying German or anthropology doesn't mean you wouldn't be an effective business leader. I think that there are things we can do to enhance their curriculum on a more finance and economics thing, which would be great life skills anyways, but also get them exposure to corporate America because you might not be an engineer, but you can run an engineering firm. And after all, they do have to find a way to repay those student loans. So I think we should do all we can to benefit the students in that regard.
Thank you. Michael.
So undergraduates, 55% of the undergraduates are from the state of Michigan. You can look it up. With regard to, is this place popular? We have 6,800 freshmen in the freshman class, 90,000 applications this year. With regard to the cost, the Money Magazine article speaks for itself. If you read it, it's from May of this year. It costs less today to attend the University of Michigan if you receive financial aid than it did 10 years ago. So there is an incredible value being given to in-state students. One of the issues we have is a declining population. We'll have the declining population through 2033. So that's something that needs to be addressed. it's something that I find very important and that we need to work on. So we talked about the value, also building trust, incredibly important, not only with the entire campus. You can say to staff, to faculty, to students, that's a paramount interest. Carbon neutrality, we need to beat the goals that we've set for ourselves, and we need to continue leading the state. We have a $2 billion research budget here at the university. It provides thousands of jobs. We think of ourselves a lot of times as just a university. We're the largest employer in the state of Michigan. And we provide excellent jobs to citizens of the state of Michigan. We need to continue to do that. Not only that, but it is absolutely important to get Flint and Dearborn campuses on a stable footing so they can move forward. We have some great ideas that we're going to be talking about this month's meeting, October 20th. But with regard to engaging with the faculty with these ideas, the structure's a little difficult. Like when Sylvia mentioned, what the board does is it's the oversights, the supervision, sort of the 30,000-foot level. But I meet with faculty regularly. I meet with, I see Kirsten over here from Leo. She's someone I really appreciate her leadership of the lecturers. And so that is, I think it totally makes sense. You feel the pulse when you meet with faculty members, when you meet with staff, when you meet with students, and it's important to do.
Thank you. Kathy.
Great. Again, I want to associate myself with Regent Behm's comments. We got to keep this place affordable, and we have done that. We talked about the Go Blue guarantee for those whose family incomes are less than $65,000 a year, and they can go for free without paying tuition. And that program is available on all three of our campuses, the Ann Arbor campus, the Flint, and the Dearborn campus. Also, back in, I think it was, I don't remember the year exactly, but we spearheaded a move for the University of Michigan to become part of the Yellow Ribbon program and offer all veterans, reserve components, and active duty service members in-state tuition so they can take full advantage of their veterans benefits and maximize the funding levels. So we do that as well. And I want to continue looking at how we continue to make University of Michigan affordable for all those who are qualified to come here. As far as working with faculty through the Faculty Senate, the Senate Assembly, and SACUA, faculty members, of course, voice their concerns, their issues that they want to have the university address in terms of policies or bylaws. And through these organizations, we work together through the faculty governance process in order to have the faculty, the professional staff, and the administration voice matters of university-wide concern. So faculty governance is something that I'm familiar with as being an academic at Wayne State, and we need to continue what we're doing, but also we do have access by attending sometimes the Faculty Senate meetings, and when invited, we do attend and discuss issues. And of course, you can always email us or contact us directly.
Thank you. In the next question, then, again, the order of answers will be a little different. Sevag first, Michael next, Kathy third, Sherry fourth. The question is, as regent, you will represent all three campuses. How will you work to expand access for Flint and Dearborn students to the kinds of funded learning opportunities that are available primarily on the Ann Arbor campus?
When I read this question, I was a little bit, I was unclear as to what the meaning was of funded learning opportunities. If the intent was to talk about a co-op program where students can take time off from their studies in order to go out there and get some real work experience, I think that's a great idea. I would be very excited to work on something like that. If we're talking about helping them find summer internships, and finding employment opportunities, for post-graduation, that all depends on the quality of the education that they're receiving and what they're studying. If the business perception of the students and the curriculum is high, they're going to do well. If it's If the business perception is not where it needs to be, we need to explore why, how we can remedy that and make their experience better. I want to do everything we can, especially for our commuter campuses, to make their experience, enriching and rewarding, and put them on a strong path towards a prosperous future.
Thank you.
I think I'm next.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, like I said above, the pandemic, and then for Flint, the water crisis, did a lot of damage to our two smaller campuses. Work's being done in this area for Flint as we speak, like I just mentioned a minute ago, with regard to this month's meeting. Regent's meeting is in Flint. So in addition to introducing President Ono, we will be talking about a lot of things Flint-centric that are going to be done and are in the works right now with regard to Flint. I think it's very important to listen to these campuses, all three campuses, instead of saying, I know what you need, and telling someone you need to listen to the people and understand. That's one of the things that I've tried to do over the last 8 years. And with regard to a funded learning opportunity, if that means like traveling abroad for a semester, I've talked to the students at Flint. They're not interested in that as much as they are. They could be interested, they've said, but they're more interested in childcare, with solid transportation to and from school, so they're allowed to receive the education. And so where we need dollars, and what we're working on right now, just to take Flint for an example, is wraparound guidance services. The 6-year graduation rate for U of M Flint right now is the lowest of the 15 publics in the state of Michigan. And it's something that we have to fix, that we can fix, but it's going to take some dollars from Ann Arbor to help fix this. And part of what I mean by that is with regard to if my wife's a first generation student, I should say with regard to costs, when we were both out of law school, our loans were twice the amount our home mortgage was. So we've got to get a handle on the cost issue. But then you can give me a free education, free tuition, and if I don't have the services, the guidance services to help me with the transition to college, I am going to wash out. And so there have to be wraparound guidance and counseling services for these kids, because they can do the work. They absolutely can do the work. I can't do the work if I'm taking care of my sick parent. I'm in a non-traditional household with regard, everyone thinks, oh yeah, your mom and dad help you. A lot of these kids don't have a parent. They might be taking care of a younger sibling. I mean, the examples go on forever. And those are the areas where we need to provide the help.
Thank you. Kathy.
Thank you. The first generation students here on the Ann Arbor campus, there are fewer of them, and there was a recognition that we really needed to step up our services, those wraparound services here at Ann Arbor because of that. But at Flint and Dearborn, we're going to have more first generation students per capita at those campuses. And again, wraparound services are crucial and they're expensive. And we're finding that undergraduates generally now need more care than my generation for whatever reason. There's things have changed and there's more distractions. I'm assuming social media probably has something to do with it, in the 24-hour cycle of all this information coming at us and people not having a chance to just reflect and think on their own quietly and be comfortable with the silence of their own thoughts. And also money is a significant issue. And we even saw that with the lecturers at University of Michigan Flint, and we did increase their pay. Was it 50%?
50.
50%, in order to get the pay equity up from the Flint campus to the Ann Arbor campus. And we increased Dearborn as well. Making sure that we recognize these financial issues, not only with the lecturers, but also with our students is really critical.
Thank you. Sherry.
I'd like to present a fact when we're talking about money. The state of Michigan spends $36,000 per prisoner. U of M tuition, books, fees, room and board, and spending money is under $30,000. We have in this state a very strange consideration for our investment in youth. So let's get some of that rearranged and prioritized much better. I recently met a dynamic, passionate director of diversity, equity, and inclusion in a Detroit organization, a woman from Flint who U of M would have been proud to have as an alumna. But about 20 years ago, U of D Mercy was more serious about DEI and offered her the means to attain her BA. I don't understand why there should even be a difference in access for Flint and Dearborn students. So why even this question? It might be interesting to try an exchange semester to have Dearborn students and Flint students have the option of spending a semester at the U of M campus here in Ann Arbor to give them a feel of the real university experience and to not feel so different. I certainly understand the other services. I've been part of the Motor City Freedom Riders talking about transit. And one of the things they were talking about is the Dearborn campus, Henry Ford Community College, that the nearest bus doesn't take them quite close enough. And if you're disabled, forget it entirely. So yes, we have more services that could be offered. Take them out of the prison funds. Bring those people. Montcalm Community College had a coursework for prisoners in that particular correction facility, and the recidivism was really, really low for those prisoners who got a chance to be in a community college. It was a wonderful program, and of course it got canceled.
Thank you. In the next question, the order will be Michael first, Kathy second, Sherry third, Sevag fourth. It will be asked in person by Tom Brown, who's professor of biostatistics.
Thanks, Sylvia.
Oh,
No.
I had it for a second. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Don't hold it. Just press it.
Oh, I have a PhD, but not in microphones. Thank you. In recent amicus briefs given to the U.S. Supreme Court, U of M attorneys argued that, quote, despite persistent
Yeah, it could be a battery issue.
Despite persistent, vigorous, and varied efforts to increase student body racial and ethnic diversity by race-neutral means, the admission and enrollment of underrepresented minority students have fallen precipitously in many of U of M schools and colleges. So the question is what efforts can the regents make to improve the situation at the University of Michigan?
Tom, thanks for the question. I think this is one of the most important issues we face right now. If you were to hold up a mirror to the state of Michigan, that's what our student body should look like. It doesn't right now. The decisions of Gratz and Grutter in 2003 by the Supreme Court led the state of Michigan to have the ballot initiative in 2006, which took away the ability to take race into consideration with regard to incoming classes. I find this to be a compelling state interest. That's sort of in the weeds legal term there. But with regard to having a balanced student body that looks like the state of Michigan, that is a compelling state interest. And what that does is that provides the benefits of diversity. And so when you talk about equal protection, when, again, not to beat a dead horse with regard to me being a trial attorney, but it's a jury of your peers. And we're allowed to excuse people from jury service so we can have a jury that looks like our community. That's what our student body should look like. So with regard to that ballot initiative, that definitely knocked our admissions sort of the feet out from under us. And it's something that we fight for on a monthly basis. The Alumni Association's been incredibly helpful with regard to the scholarships that they're providing. But it's also something that's going to come up in this term, this year's Supreme Court term, probably this month. And there's a litigation against Harvard right now. The privates have different abilities to recruit kids than the publics have. And one of the issues that we need to do, we have a program called Wolverine Pathways, and it's the ability to identify and find kids early on. It sounds almost like you're sports recruiting, but that's what we are. And when you see a kid in 8th grade who is an academic, has huge academic potential, we need to identify them and get them here. We need to, it's the dollars issue again, putting dollars into this area to make this happen. I think we can do it, but it's that main issue of right now, the landscape's going to change with this decision that's probably going to come down. In an awful way, it's going to improve our ability to recruit underrepresented minorities because it's going to handicap the privates. So it's not like you'd want to benefit from something bad happening to privates, but we need to find more ways to identify underrepresented students and get them on campus.
Thank you. Kathy?
And I want to bring up an issue that's a little bit more tactical than the strategy level. And it's really from my own experience. So a lot of times the University of Michigan and other universities, their admissions office relies very heavily on high school counselors and high school counselor recommendations, and they develop relationships with the counselors. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of counselors have a lot of biases, and I suffered from that here in the Ann Arbor school system. And I was knowledgeable enough to know I needed to get a different counselor so that I would have the benefit of a counselor that thought I had potential. Because no shortage of people telling me as a woman, I couldn't go into engineering, or African American, you can't go to Princeton or the Ivy League, and no shortage of naysayers. And if we have to work hard to make sure we're getting counselors that we're working with that do see all the potential for students across the board and what their interests are and their skill level. And that's one of the things I think we could do, what we're going to have to do more of if this decision comes down.
Sherry?
A graphic, again on Facebook, showed that barely 30% of Michigan students are college ready. We know minorities tend to be a large percentage in lower income levels with parents in survival mode. I recall when I was working my way through college, thinking that if I were a Black girl, finding jobs would be even harder. There's a community college branch on the east edge of Benton Harbor, 85% Black population. And the bus system does not go from the inner city of Benton Harbor to anywhere near that campus. I've been working for better transit in Southeast Michigan for years, so it's something I look at in other communities, and I found that one. We have a vice president of government relations on this campus with a connection to the State Board of Education. I ran for that 3 times, attending many of its meetings and school board meetings across the state, including twice in Benton Harbor. The state board has a partnership program that could be joined. I've been reading higher ed online, articles to see what other universities are doing, including dropping standardized test requirements. Not everyone is wired to take those kinds of tests. John F. Kennedy Jr. passed the bar exam on his 3rd try. So that's my statement on that one.
Thanks. Sevag?
Well, I'm actually excited about this question. First, our Constitution says, you cannot discriminate against nor give preferential treatment to people based on their race, national origin, whatever. But I think, the value of exposing people at an early age, like my colleagues, alluded to, is important. Now, one of my good friends that I went to school with here at Michigan, she's on the completely other side of the spectrum politically as I am, but on this project that she's a part of, I completely agree with her, and I've seen it firsthand. She works for the KPOR, the KPOR Center out of Oakland, California, and they've been running this program called the SMASH program, where it focuses on getting underrepresented people, people of color, into STEM and technology. And what they do is you apply for these programs, so it's merit-based, and it starts off from grades 9 through 12, and you go through as a cohort. And what the university that they're affiliated with does is they provide housing and room and board during the summer for a curriculum that the KPOR Center provides. I am thrilled that this was introduced to U of M in 2020. So with COVID, I think the implementation has been a little bit slow. I know it's and you said Wayne State, but I think a public-private partnership in areas like this is the type of thing that we need to explore. Because yes, there is value, and I don't know what the legal landscape is going to look like in a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks. But this is something that, if we're just providing educational opportunities in the summertime, and we're just providing room and board, I'm completely behind that. And go to smash.org and you can read more about it. It's a wonderful program, and I think that's the type of stuff we should be doing here.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for only one last question. We had a couple more that were given to us, but somebody else wants this room. So I'll ask the last question, and the order will be Sevag first, then Michael, then Kathy, then Sherry. So the last question is, a large portion of the workforce at the university is represented by labor unions. For example, the lecturers, the nurses, the librarians, and the maintenance workers. Will you support these unionized workers in their labor disputes or contract negotiations? How so?
Well, this is a loaded question for a Republican candidate. Like I said, all decisions that are going to be made, I'm going to take it through the lens of, is this best for the students? It's one of these hypothetical questions where I don't know the proper way to answer. I'm guessing there'll be instances where, yes, I will support them. And there are instances where maybe I won't support them. I just don't know. But at the end of the day, we are an institution with limited resources, and we need to find the best ways to allocate those resources. So we have to do all these things in a financially prudent manner. Otherwise, the free market will take care of us, in a bad way if we don't get that right. But these things are going to be done on a case-by-case basis, and I'm going to have to rely on my colleagues on the board who have the institutional knowledge and the faculty that understand how things really work, down on the ground level. But there's no reason why I can't support workers when they're justified.
Thanks, Mike.
This is an important question. And the lens that I think it's important to take a look at is there's been some mention about the state allocation of funds. Michigan is dead last in the nation. We're 50th in the state allocation of per student funds. Other universities, look at the California system, they are in the low 5 digits per year per student. We're dead last at about $6,000 per student. It's expensive to come to college as a student. And along these lines, one of the things I worked on this year, Kathy and I worked on, was a $15 minimum for everyone, for every job, for entry level. So if you're the part-time student working in the cafeteria or tutoring, it's a $15 minimum. But with regard to unionizing and with regard to organizing, I can't support it enough. In the last 2 years, we have changed a couple of things. We now have card check in place with regard to unionizing and organizing, and the university now has an official neutral stance with regard to organizing. These are very important issues with regard to this, because by yourself, it's an awful tough hill to climb. In the last 2 years, there have been 4 other groups that have organized, which is fantastic to see. GLAM's just organized. We now have some medical techs who are in the process of organizing right now. Looks like it's going to be about, the number changes a little bit as to who's going to be part, but over 1,000 people. So these are issues that are incredibly important. Like Kathy mentioned, 4 years ago when I was chair, we did not have, we got the deal done at the last minute in order to make sure that starting salaries for lecturers at U of M Flint and Dearborn increased by 50% at U of M Flint and 47% at U of M Dearborn to become the same entry level amount. So it's important, and this is an important issue.
Thank you very much. Kathy?
As I mentioned, I am a union member of the AFT, sister in arms over there. So I do, of course, support the right of all employees to seek union membership if they so choose. And we've got the card check process in order to do that, to help make it easier for individuals to come together and form a union. And both Mike and I, throughout this entire last term, have supported a lot of the union issues, and we think it's really important. We have outstanding employees, and they deserve to be treated fairly.
Sherry?
Save the best till last. Thank you. I already answered the union question because I didn't think we would get to that. So I'll take a couple minutes to touch on the 2 that we're having to omit. One of them is about tenured faculty. And my first response would be, well, is it a budgetary thing, or is it getting the most bodies at the head of the classroom for the least expense, or that the criteria itself for tenure needs to be reexamined? But I'm also aware that people are more comfortable with people like themselves. And if that's what's happening with a tenure committee, then that needs to be explored. I invite anyone, whoever on the faculty wants to tell me why you asked this question, what I would need to know more about why this question appeared here, please. And briefly on the white supremacy, my first reaction to that is white supremacy first rose when Europeans first came to this continent and invaded, and higher as it evicted and exterminated the natives, and higher still when it bought and sold enslaved persons. If promote the general welfare, in that definition of the word, was more than empty words in the Constitution, and all residents in the country had survival guaranteed, there would be no ability to convince one group that those people are taking things away from me. That's a divide and conquer thing. And when you have so many on the same rung of the ladder, as Fred Hampton pointed out before the FBI killed him in the 60s, the white gangs, the black gangs, the Puerto Rican gangs, hey, we're all at the bottom of that ladder. We need to work together. And as an attorney, I have been working on white supremacy in the form of the, quote, criminal justice system we have, because it's there. And I don't know how many of you know what DWB stands for. It's driving while black or brown and getting stopped and arrested at more rates than we white folk. There's also something I just learned. The one free phone call you get on television in those crime shows, that's not a state law in Michigan. Some states allow 4 calls, including to your daycare provider. Michigan does not require that anyone gets even 1. A brown person stopped for failing to use his turn signal. His wife didn't know for 3 days where he was. So we have a whole lot of white supremacy just ingrained in our system, and it needs to be pulled out, and we need to have all of us together.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you, and I'm not sure I still know who to vote for. No, that was a joke. And it was very informative, and I hope that we have helped people to decide who they want to vote for. But all four of you are very good candidates. Thank you very much.